Well, let's move on now. Today, members of the Federal Liberal Party, as I mentioned, had a meeting in Canberra to discuss energy and net zero policies. Here was the Shadow Energy Minister, Dan Tehan, speaking after that meeting.
Incredibly helpful for me as I continue this process of making sure that we've got an energy and emissions reduction policy that is in the national interest. And the key takeout for me is that how many things that we're united on.
Joining us now, Friday regular former Queensland Premier Campbell Newman. Campbell, I listened to that and I listened to the reports of what unfolded in Canberra today. It seemed to me to be a net zero meeting about net zero. Nothing happened.
Exactly, mate. And the problem is that until the Liberal Party and perhaps elements of the National Party still wake up to themselves and prepare to actually go out and fight and make an argument, they're not going to get anywhere. And this is what they should be saying, Steve. They should be saying net zero is a preposterous, outrageous lie. It will not achieve anything in terms of climate if you believe in that. It is going to destroy Australia economically. It will drive jobs offshore. And most importantly right now, it is driving inflation higher through energy prices. In a week where we saw a higher than expected inflation result, a huge component of that was a 9% increase in energy costs. Steve, this is the reality of it. And all the Liberal Party need to do now is get away from this stupid policy and point that out to Australians. Energy prices will go up again and again and again constantly while this fantasy plays out as we deindustrialise Australia. I'm probably being as hard as I've ever been about this issue, but that's what they have to do.
Well, Susan Lee didn't even attend the meeting today. And what's the point of having a round table, all bets are off discussion about what the policy should be and the leader's not even there?
Well, maybe someone will take good minutes for her and give her a briefing. I mean, you know, the leader has to be in there and part of it. But the trouble with this whole thing is that the left of the Liberal Party are in charge, clearly, because there's no sign of a change coming. But you know what I'm trying to articulate is this whole rotten edifice is so close to crashing down. People like Matthew Canavan, Senator Matt Canavan, they get it. It is a rotting, stinking edifice, this whole net zero thing, and the idea of going to renewables. And it just takes politicians with courage now, I firmly believe, to point out, particularly to Middle Australia, that they've been conned and that their cost of living will continue to go through the roof and their quality of life and everything they've enjoyed is now under threat. And the moment people start in political circles in the right, start to actually join the dots for the population, you will see an exodus of any sort of support on this whole issue now. I mean, it was eroding already prior to the last week or so. The polling was showing that. And if there were people of courage prepared to point it out to the community, I think you'd see the whole thing collapse.
Well, the moderates in the Liberal Party seem to be, scared that, they've lost those seats to the Teals. They've lost those sort of middle ring of suburban seats in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. And they think if they say, oh, well, we're not going to hold to these ambitions of net zero, that they're suddenly going to be painted as climate change deniers. They're not. They're just saying the reality here is we're going too quickly down this path to all renewables. It's not going to work. It's going to cost jobs. And as you say, energy or power is going to cost you more. I mean, not just people at home when they get an electricity bill through the letterbox, but business after business after business. I mean, Tomago, the biggest smelter in the country, says they can't keep operating because the energy cost is too much. That's going to end up being bought by the government. What happens when government buys things like that? Doesn't work.
Yeah, well, I'm reminded of the old joke about stamping out pornography by buying news agents. Well, here we can't have the government go around buying every business that is sort of exposed to high energy. But I can tell you now, actually, the truth of it is that everybody's exposed to higher energy costs. The cup of coffee you enjoy in a local cafe, for example, everything that we do is is fundamentally affected by the cost of energy. I mean, I point out the oil shocks of 1973, 74, what that did to inflation globally. Inflation and higher interest rates are being driven in this country, particularly by energy costs. And Jim Chalmers and the PM papered over this over the last 12 months by having these ridiculous government subsidies on people's power bills. They were just a temporary sort of pea and thimble trick. As for Tomago, mate, I mean, look, it's quite fascinating how to see some of Simon Holmes' Court's comments from about 3 or 4 years being brought up and thrown back at him about this thing. You know, you can't make aluminium in a country that has high energy costs. These things will go to countries that aren't on this sort of bandwagon, and that's where the jobs will be, and that's where the value add will be. And, you know, we've had people for years saying we shouldn't just dig stuff up out of the ground and we should value add, we shouldn't be a quarry. Well, that's where we're going as we strip Australia out of any industry worthwhile.
Just briefly, you would have heard my conversation there with David Southwick about the Victorian Treaty. It's gone a lot further than where the Queensland government's gone. How divisive do you think this will be?
Oh, look, it's just appalling. It is breathtakingly divisive. Two systems of government, but one that caters only for a very small minority group. This is not the way to advance the cause of Indigenous people, in my opinion. All Australians should be treated the same way. And Victoria, as we've seen on a range of other issues, is running a unique socialist, and in fact an extreme socialist experiment about how you can really drive an economy into the ground. And my state, Steve, is going to be the beneficiary, and I've been sort of probably gloating a bit about that this year. Well, I'm afraid we've got to extend the invitation to you, your family, your friends to emigrate now while you can, while you can get a free passage into Queensland. Come and take refuge as this madness continues. I mean, like Victoria is going to be in such a bad way by this time next year. It's breathtaking.
So many people on the way, you're going to have to shut the border. Campbell, great to catch up with you. I'll see you next week.